Hey guys, I'm back for another video, and today I'm gonna talk about the little things in Hytale. I've been talking about some pretty big concepts. For example, the questing, the combat, the level progression that doesn't exist because it's not level based, but a lot of people think it is. The story, things like that. But today I would like to focus on a bunch of little things. I'm gonna give one or two examples of different systems I think should exist in Hytale that could be expanded upon in the future through mods and of course the developers themselves. So let's get going. I really hope that Hytale's audio and SFX engine is super duper advanced. One thing that always that I loved when playing modded Minecraft was added ambience, right? If you were playing a really old one, I remember is Tekkit, you would have, if you were in a jungle, you would hear the birds chirping in the background, you would hear the leaves blowing in the wind, and you could, and there's a lot of little things too, like with caves, you'd hear the water dripping from the stalactites, and you could hear echoing when you take steps. When any noise happens, there'd be an echo. And underwater, there'd be a muffled sound, and just little things, even on like the basic level, like for manipulating the inventory. I think it'd be really neat to have an open inventory sound, a manipulate item sound. Maybe when you pull back the string on a bow, you can like hear the noise of the string being stressed, and then like a realistic sounding bow shooting noise would be really cool. I think it'd be great too if when you place different kinds of blocks that they make unique sounds per block. So instead of like in Minecraft, all the different stones make the same exact noise when you step on it and place it down. The same exact noise. And I don't think that's a bad thing, that's just kind of the style of the game. But I don't know, it might make things a bit more unique for Hytale to have different sounds for each block. Of course, there's probably going to be many more blocks in Hytale than Minecraft, so that might be a tangent they might not have to go down, but at least maybe they can just add the capabilities in the game for each block to have its own sound, so modders can go and do that if they wanted to. One thing that I especially love about a game called Subnautica is just how immersive some of the sounds are. And I would say the greatest part of immersion is making the character feel tiny. They're only one person in this huge ocean in that case. So like there's these scary bellowing sounds that just vibrate your ears. I've played over 50 hours of Subnautica, and even after beating the game like 3 times, hearing a reef back make the noise it makes, I always get a chill down my spine. It just, ooh, it's scary. And even though the reef back is, it's not even hostile. It's just a mob that floats around and does nothing, but just hearing it makes you feel like, oh boy, this is intense, like I'm in for something, because there's things that are just so much bigger than me going on in this landscape. And of course, like the rest of the audio is amazing. There's like this echoey effect when you're underwater. Even like hearing a peeper make the noise it makes, it's just, I don't know, it's so immersive. You'd have like the reef back, of course, the peeper, a ghost leviathan scream is something that's just taken directly from the nightmares of gamers everywhere. And then obviously the Reaper Leviathan. I mean, those sounds will induce a jump scare in just about anybody. So I really hope that Hytale has these really crazy sounds that just scare the crap out of people. Now we're gonna move on to visual effects. Now I have to say, already Hytale's like hit the nail on the head with the visuals. It is so much more interesting than any other game I've seen. It's not held back by the blocky style that it has. Things just look so beautiful, and the animations, I especially love the scene from the Block Technologies post where the guy opens the door into this little shack and you can see the library book sticking out of the wall, and just how smooth that door open swing animation is. It's so satisfying, just the way it looks. And that's one tiny detail, that's 1 second out of the gameplay. I can only imagine if the rest was just as smooth and had just as much detail. And the great thing is, it's all blocks. So like, it's so much easier to implement than in a game that's like, I don't know, Call of Duty or Fallout, because you have to texture it like completely with like a bajillion polygons. But in Hytale, it just is meant to look that way, and it looks great. But there's a few extra details that I'd like to give an example of. For example, maybe if you put down a campfire, it'll char the ground next to where the campfire was. Maybe the clouds would be 3D, and they would have varying shapes, maybe varying speeds depending on the wind would be pretty cool. If you're in the water, maybe you'd have particles floating around, and you could see the light rays from up above, things like that. So like shader effects would be really cool as well. To be able to add your own shaders would be nice. I don't know how they would do that, considering you can't modify the client, but I do hope there is a possibility to add custom shaders. That'd be great. I love how the NPC interactions post described how you can set the AI for different creatures in the game. That's a great step in the right direction in this video topic specifically, having, you know, an alive world that there's so much variance and things like that. That's a great step. I just hope that they use that system they made to make thousands of different prefabs for thousands of different behaviors for different mobs in different situations. I really hope that I think they will, because why would they go through all that effort to make this large system only to implement like 2 or 3 things per mob? I don't think that's going to happen. So little things like, for example, the Trork moving out of the rain when sleeping would be, you know, that's hilarious. I love that. And if they're willing to get that close with that sort of thing, or that specific, I think other things could happen as well. There'd be a bunch of little behaviors that would dictate how the world works, and just not seeing the same thing every time you go out in an adventure. I want it so that there's something new every time you go out. So maybe you see a deer, and when you approach it really silently, and like calmly, then it will let you go up and pet it or something. But if you run up to it really fast, it runs away. Or maybe a deer interacting with some other animal in a similar way. I think seasonal changes to the terrain would be really cool. Having, instead of like, I mean, I've heard that there's gonna be the different zones, and they're gonna be, you know, there's an ice zone and a desert zone, and I guess, you know, that's cool, but I don't know. I think it would be neat if the same area experienced all different weather types throughout of like a theoretically year. That would be pretty cool. So there'd be things like snow, and of course there'd be just things poking up out of the snow. There'd be footprints in sand and snow, so as you're walking around you see your own footprints. Maybe if you fall down, then you would see the whole imprint of your body going into it. That'd be pretty funny. If we're going with the seasons idea, that urban areas like villages maybe would have like decorations to go up for different times of the year, or maybe there's different events going on and they decorate for it. There'd be this big event, maybe even a farmer's market. That'd be cool if there were like events going on in the communities that you just so happen upon. Wind blowing around leaves would be cool, as well as tumbleweeds. I think that'd be fun. As a result of actions by the player, so maybe if you do a fire attack, it will char the ground, searing the grass away. Maybe a water attack would drench stuff, so maybe the grass would be like more reflective or drooping because it's, you know, weighed down by water. Maybe it would be darker or more saturated. One thing that's really, really specific that I think would be cool would be fun ways to interact with the environment. For example, I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of frozen lakes have decomposing animals underneath, so like fish and stuff. And those decomposing fish make gas bubbles, methane. And if you're standing on top of ice and you dig a little hole in the ice and light a match, it will blow up. It'll have like a big fiery burp of methane, and it's really exciting. If you look it up on YouTube, you can see things like this. So fun little ways to interact with the environment like that would be insane. Maybe if you were to shoot at an icicle, that it would drop down and hit an enemy if you're like skilled enough, something like that. And then finally on the list, I have random events. So for example, I think it'd be cool if it was thundering and lightning and raining and all of that, that there'd be a chance that a tree gets struck by lightning and split in half, splinters go everywhere, and it's like split straight down the middle, and it's this really loud and scary event. Like the whole screen goes white for a few seconds, and like, well, for 1 second, and it's so loud that it just like it startles the player, and then they just turn around and the tree is just split in half and like on fire. It'd be really cool. So random events that not necessarily affect the player, but maybe just random events like that happen in the background. So like maybe you hear thunder in the distance, and then maybe you investigate, and then you see the tree later, and you're like, oh wow, that's what the thunder did. Well, anyway, that is it for this video, guys. These are all the little things I would like to see from Hytale, all the different systems. So it's 1 or 2 examples of each system that could potentially make the game better. And then of course the modders can come in with more ideas that are related and could be used in a similar system. I actually predict that things like random events like lightning striking a tree might be dictated by JSON files, just like the NPC behavior. We will see. Well, anyway, if you'd like to continue the Hytale discussion, then you should follow me on Twitter. I'm almost at 1,100 followers. It's crazy, and I can't wait to get to like just imagine 2,500 followers before the game comes out. If we can hit that, oh man. Well, anyway, if you'd like to continue the discussion, there you go. Tweet at me and ask a question that has not been answered before, preferably, and I'll see if I could answer it with my speculative knowledge. Anyway, that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.